Okay, welcome back. So you see that I have the 4 layers with different parts of the dress, the bottom, the top, and each sleeve. Now I'm going to do shadows. And the way I'm going to do that is to add a new layer. And normally I would label this layer shadow, but every time I label it, something I hit makes the camera go off. And I've just done this 5 times and I'm going crazy right now. So we're going to leave that layer as layer 1. And I am going to turn off these layers so that I can see this dress and I can see where the shadows are on this dress. So we're going to use several tools to create these shadows. The first thing I want to show you is, let me turn this back on, and I am going to use the eyedropper tool right here. And I'm going to select a dark area in this pattern, and I'm going to use that to pull a color. So you see over here, when I click this, it shows my color palette. And you notice there's numbers in here, the CMYK breakdown, the hue, saturation, brightness. We're going to go over all of this a little bit later, but what I want to show you is when I click down lower, those numbers change. So there's a different number that corresponds to every color here. So the reason why I use the picker is because I want to I don't want to just use black. I want to use a color that's consistent with what I'm working on. So I say, okay, and now I'm going to use this tool here, which is the lasso tool. So one of the things I like about the lasso tool is I can just draw a shape, and when I let it go, it automatically goes and closes. But I can also draw a curve, and I've got my finger on the mouse the whole time. And then I'm going to hit the Option key, which is the alternate key on the PC. And then I can just pick my finger up, click my finger down, click my finger down, and then I can hold my finger down and start drawing curves. So I like this tool because it allows me to go from straight lines to curves. In this situation, we have mostly just curves. So I am going to, again, hide this layer, and I'm going to draw the shape of the shadows in this dress. I'm going to go beyond the edge of the dress, and I can clean that up later because it just can be a little fussy when I try to be too precise when I'm trying to draw this in here. So I'm going to go around the elbow, and down here, over here, and ta-da. Okay. Now the next thing I want to do is I want there to be a gradation where the dark and light hit. So I'm going to go up to Select, and then I'm going to go to Modify, and I'm going to go to Feather. And so what the feathering does, it moves 5 pixels out to feather the edges. So I'm going to make this 20, and you'll see when I say okay that the dancing ants change a little. So it was slight, but that was expanding it. So when I fill it, so I am going to go up to Edit, Fill, and I'm going to fill it with, let's say 40%. It's the foreground color. So this is the color on the foreground color. I'm going to say okay, 40%, and then I can click this on to see how that looks. It's really kind of subtle. So what I could do is I could just go over that, and I can say I'm going to fill it with 20% now because it'll be 60 total. And that looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to stop that. Okay, so now I want to add some darkness in these finer areas. So I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm going to show you when I use the brush. I have that dark color, and so I'm going to hold down my finger on the mouse just to show you how the opacity here is 27%. And you can see the quality of the brush, how soft it is. And then if I pick my finger up and I go back over, it gets darker. But see, it's transparent. So every time I pick my finger up and put it down again, I could end up with making something that's really spotty and not nice and smooth like I want it to be. I think this color is a little light for what I'm doing here, so I am going to increase the opacity here. And this is just something you start to get a sense for. There's zero hardness, so it's already pretty soft. So I am going to go in here and do stripe on this shape here. And then I'm going to come back, make this a little smaller. I'm going to go right in here where it was really much darker on the edge. And then I'm going to go in here and add some darkness around the sleeve. So again, it looks like I'm painting over this dress, but I am really on a separate layer that has not been labeled shadow, but we know that it is. Okay. I'm going to go up here. So as I go off the edge, depending on what tool I'm using, it actually moves for me. And so it's annoying that it's not moving for me right now. So I'm just going over it, exceeding it, because I don't want to have to stamp it on and off like I showed you before. Okay, so now I'm going to lift my finger up and get a little bit more darkness right in here on the sleeve. Okay, almost there. Okay, so up here, that didn't come out quite the way I wanted to, but we'll leave it for now. I'm going to come back in here and do a little bit of darkness right where the light would have hit that the most, and right here around your shoulder. And then I'm going to do around the neck and come back and hit it down one more time, and then here. So it's really just sort of like thinking about watercolor painting over something. Okay, now I can look at it and see if that looks dark enough to me. So when I look at this shape here, it looks a little awkward. It doesn't look as elegant as I would like. Also, I didn't fuss with her hair, so what's happening is her hair is actually going over top of that dress. So I'm going to use the eraser tool right now, and the eraser tool works very much like the brush tool, where you can change the hardness and you can change the dimension here as well. So I can go and I can soften this edge here. Oops, that's way too hard. So let me go in and the hardness accidentally is 100%. I want the hardness to be 0%. So if I go in here, I can soften that edge. And if I make this even bigger, it ends up actually softening it quite a bit more. So the way the color sort of jumps in a bit from the edge there. So I can do the same thing here, although I like that sharp edge there. And then down here, there was a bit of light that I wanted to show that was hitting her leg here that got a little dark. So I can go and add that light back in by brushing away the shadows. So here I'm going to soften the edge of that there. And then I'm going to also use this eraser. I'm going to make this smaller, and I'm going to make the opacity 100% because I want to investigate here. I'm not sure, but I might want to cut away. Which part is it? Right here. I'm going to try cutting away some of this pattern to see a little bit of her hair and give that a natural edge there. So I should probably be doing this where I can see where I put the dress on top like I did before, but I'm just going to fudge it here. And then I would also do it on the layer with this sleeve, because you can see there's some curls over here. She does have lovely curls, doesn't she? Okay, so just a little bit I'm doing there. Okay, so there should be some shadows underneath those curls now. So I'm going up here and I am going to take the paintbrush and I'm going to add a little bit here because you would see some shadows underneath those curls. And the top of her dress is a little wonky here too. So I'm going to move this layer up here for a moment. Oh, her dress does that. That is the way it is. Okay. Move that back down. Something about it there doesn't look the same. Let me again hide these and look at the shadows in here. So I guess, whoops, is on the eraser tool. I want to go back to the brush tool and add in that contour more there. I think that will help to define that, and adding quite a bit more right here. I keep going on and off, on and off. And her curls do come down a bit more here, don't they? All right, so I'm going to go up here and I'm going to click on the top part of the my mask again. And so I am going to erase away the layer needs to be on. Sorry, I'm going to erase away some of these curls on the mask. So you can't really see it because this is on top. So that looks a little better. There's actually one little spot here that I see that needs to be erased too. Oh, you know what? That's on our shadow layer, I think. Oh, maybe it's in her hair. Okay. All right, so I think some here now I'm not necessarily following what's there. I'm just looking at what doesn't look logical. There was a bright spot there that just looks a little funky. I'm going to soften this over there. Okay, so her sleeve over here, bring this up again. So her sleeve should have some shadows coming from it right here that I am going to add more dramatically in here. So I can just keep doing this. What I want to do now is show you actually how to clean this up. So I can use while I'm on the shadow layer. Oh shoot, did I did. See what I accidentally did? I accidentally painted on her dress here. Well, that's okay. It's not ruining this layer because we're not going to see that layer, that part of the layer in the end. But now I need to take my brush and redo these areas that I had been messing with before. So that happens even to professionals like me. Okay, so now I want to go back and show you how I was going to clean this up though. So I can take this tool again and go into these areas, go back down in there, which sometimes is a little hard, especially since I'm using my left hand right now. But then you can see I can erase it, and then I can go and use my eraser tool, and I can go along that edge there too. So sometimes what I do is I carefully go along the edge with the eraser, and then I take the lasso tool where I don't need to be as careful. I just go in closer and loop it up and delete it. So I would clean all of that up. So that, after I clean that all up and move this down, that's what you're going to see with this final image, okay? Here's the final.